If I could back for 4 years when I was a junior developer, I would rather change how I think about Salesforce development, not what I was exactly doing. My first mistake was thinking that I could somehow make the path shorter and learn everything that I learned in 1 year instead of in 3 years. When it comes to such complex things as software engineering, there are really not that many shortcuts that you can take. I was always rushing, and I remember after the 6 months of working as a Salesforce developer, I was still bad. And I thought that something is wrong with me. I wish there was someone who could tell me that it takes much more than 6 months to get good. Just don't rush, just be patient and you will get there. Just put the work that you need to do, be consistent, and you will get there. Yes, it's not gonna take just 6 months, and it's not even 1 year, it's gonna take much more time. But in general, if you take your time, if you stay consistent, it's gonna work. Another mistake was focusing on those best practices, career tips, interview preparation, and all of that blah 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 blah. What actually matters is just the volume of practice and the quality of this practice. Usually the best people in Salesforce development are people who wrote the most code in their life. Yes, everything is kind of important, and it also matters how good is the code that you write, and if you increase the difficulty of the projects that you're working and the difficulty of the code and problems that you solve. But in general, the more code you write, the better you get, at least for the first 2 years. And the best results I got were actually either from quite a difficult projects or from a lot of repetition. So instead what I should have done is focusing on how to write the most code that I can and how to make the next line better than the previous one, how to make the next 1,000 lines better than the previous 1,000 lines. My biggest mistake was though that I was not really asking enough for help. My ego was so big and it was preventing me from admitting that I don't know something, that I have no idea how to solve or even how to look for the solution. That resulted in just insane hours spending on something that could be done in just like 5 minutes of talking to someone who has the experience. I remember working on an issue for like 5 days, and in the end, when I was already forced by my senior developer, who was my mentor, to have a look in this, it turns out that my approach was completely wrong and it was completely impossible to solve it that way. And then we sit down together and we solved the whole problem in like 1 hour. And one time I remember that we had this new awesome senior technical developer that joined the company. And he had over 5 years of experience. And he was really, really good for just 5 years. In one meeting, he was asked if he knows how to solve certain functionality. And he just said, I don't know, I will need a few hours to look it up. And that just blew my mind. That changed my whole perspective. Like, if someone with 5 years and the title of senior developer has no idea how to solve it, why can't I say or openly admit that I don't know how to solve it? So since that time when I realized that it's quite okay to say that I have no idea how to solve something, when I started doing that, suddenly people wanted to help you. Suddenly there were people who were actually experienced in the topic that you have no idea and then can shortcut your way to learning this topic. They can show you something, they can introduce to a few articles that you need to read. They can actually go with you and spend 30 minutes, and this 30 minutes will save you 30 hours. This is how actually learning works. Learning doesn't work with you sitting and researching endless amount of time some topics on the internet or Trailhead. Learning works with working with other people, because still, even though we are quite digital, people are learning from people. And the best way to learn something is actually work with someone who have already done it. And I wish I could actually say to myself as a junior that it's okay to not know something. It's okay to ask a lot of questions, and it's okay to look stupid when you ask those questions, is because that's the way the learning works. No one expects a person with just 1 year of experience to be able to solve everything. This is why we have senior developers. This is why we have technical architects. You just can't be insanely good with 1 year. It takes a lot of time and you cannot jump it, and it's totally okay not to be good at something. And everyone goes through this phase. Everyone goes through the struggle of the first couple of years where you have no idea what you're doing. You kind of feel like you're fraud and you have this insane imposter syndrome, but you still want to stick to it, and you still want to continue learning and put your ego aside and learn from someone who is a little bit more experienced. So thank you for listening, and see you in the next one.